I'm Max, aka Panic Works. I do stuff in Tokyo. I've been in Japan for about 8 years, but I moved to Tokyo like maybe a couple of years ago, and I was going to school outside of Tokyo, but then I moved here for work stuff. I moved to Japan in 2018 to go to college. I was doing my undergrad, and then as soon as I finished my undergrad, I did my master's degree. So that was why I was living outside of Tokyo. I was living in Kanagawa, and I moved here pretty much on my own. Like my coming fresh out of high school, I like obviously I got accepted to uni. It was like pretty standard stuff. Like I had literally just finished high school. I got accepted to uni like 6 months before that. So like I was literally chilling, and I moved, like I literally physically moved from Indonesia to Japan by myself. And my mom was like, the whole time she was like, "Are you sure you can do this by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yes, I've been on an airplane before." Like, it's okay. I've been on an airplane before. So like literally got off the airplane, went straight to the dorm. That was not even in Tokyo. I went straight to the dorm. I hadn't eaten anything. I just wanted to put my stuff there. And I vividly remember the first, literally the first 15 minutes of like having to sign like the dorm contract. The dorm owner was like, "Bro, you haven't eaten yet? Like, can you please go and eat something?" And I'm like, "Oh, right. I forgot. Like, I had to do that." So, yeah, my first meal in Japan after moving in from high school was like this onigiri that the dorm owner bought me. And that was like nice. So, like in Japanese, we refer to the dorm owners as like our dorm parents. So, I forgot the
Term.
term. Because we only really refer to the lady who runs it, so they're like a married couple, and we would refer. Let me run that back so I have a cleaner sound bite. And we would just basically call the wife Ryobo-san, which is like Ryo is like dorm, and Bo is like mom or something. So it's like dorm mom. And we would rarely ever talk to the dude or like refer to him. So I know there's a word for it, Ryojo or something, but I totally forgot. But my relationship with them is quite. My relationship with them was quite funny, to be honest.
Tell me
Um,
a story.
okay, so my most the story that comes out the most was like um, I have like insomnia. Okay, well I developed insomnia in university, which is, I think it's a genetic thing because the rest of my family all have insomnia or like anxiety problems. So we're like a Xanax family. Like it's like crazy. Except my dad. My dad is like, I don't know. He doesn't. Yeah. Anyways, um, I had like this most insane bout of insomnia whereby like I couldn't sleep the first night. And I'm like, okay, you know what? All nighter is fine. Like it's not that bad. Let's go to sleep the night later. But the night comes and I literally cannot sleep again. And I'm like, holy fuck, I'm actually cooked. Like, I'm actually dying. Like, I'm actually gonna die. Like, if I don't sleep, I'm gonna die. And I think this way because it used to be where, like, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep on the dot, well, even today, I will not feel rested. Like, it has to be 8:00. It's like kind of weird. Like, I need to hibernate. Anyways,
Can I dig more into that
yeah. Let me just get
story?
to the story because
Okay.
it's funny.
Oh,
It's
okay. Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Um, I just hold that thought. Hold that thought. Previous past me. Um, so I was like literally going off like this self-induced bender of like not being able to fall asleep, and I resorted to literally calling the dorm parents. I'm like, guys, I literally cannot sleep. Do you have any sleep medication? And so they were like, I was in the lounge, right? And it was like literally like, so our dorm's first floor is like a lounge, and like there's like couches and stuff. And I'm like stretched out on the couch, and the dorm mom is like, dude, are you okay? Like, bro, like, do you need to go to the hospital? And I was like, no, I just need pills, man. I just need pills. Give me pills, man. Because I didn't have any sleep meds at that time. So this is before like it got really bad, and had to ask my mom about it. But unfortunately, Japan's sleep medications, Japan's over-the-counter sleep medication is really bad. It's like pseudoscience stuff. Like it's like all you're getting is melatonin. Bro, if all I needed to sleep was melatonin, I would have slept the night before. You know, like it was messed up. And so they gave me that. They're like, okay, like, please don't die. But luckily, one of my friends had anxiety, and so he had Japanese Xanax. So it took him and the dorm mom's melatonin for me to go to sleep. But before I could even go to sleep, I was literally looking at things on the floor. Like I had like, my room was a mess. Like there was like plastic bottle on the floor, and it would like change in size. And I literally have a video of me, which I can send it to you for the edit. I literally have a video of me freaking out over like, I literally had a video of me freaking out about whether or not the plastic bottle was the same size or not. And I was like asking on my stories, like, guys, am I going crazy? Is this like changing size? Because I read somewhere that schizophrenic people, if they're having a hallucination, they point a phone at it. And if it's not in the phone, then you're fine. So I was like pointing my phone at everything. And I'm like, guys, I'm going crazy. I'm literally going crazy. Like, I'm off like a Japanese off-brand Xanax and melatonin, and like all I have in my belly is like an energy drink, and like everything is like shifting sizes. It was crazy. Anyways, I fell asleep after that. It was great. And ever since then, the dorm owners would always be like, Max, can you sleep? Are you okay? Can you sleep? They'd ask me every time they see me, they'd be like, are you okay? Did you get sleep? So they kind of actually awakened me to how alarming that situation was. And that's why I proceeded to properly get diagnosed with insomnia. From what I remember as a kid, middle school, high school, I didn't have trouble sleeping. I never had trouble sleeping. But if I didn't get 8 hours of sleep, I would not have a good time, basically. And my mom would always tell me, like, you've always been like this, stuff like that. But the insomnia never really came until uni. And that's primarily because all throughout high school, elementary school, middle school, high school, I lived a pretty sheltered life. People know me now as like I party and I make music and I DJ and all these things. But I literally, before high school, I never went out. Like, I never experienced going out with friends at night. Because most of my friends were not really into nightlife or clubbing or stuff like that. And the people that were, I never really got along with. And so it's really interesting that like this stuff only started happening when I moved to uni and left my little shelter, because now there were so many different things that I had to consider. Like, I'm just going to be transparent. Like, I never had to worry about I never had to worry about money, and like I never had to really worry about anything except for school. And so I was like an academic weapon. Like, I demolished at school. Like, I could like literally not do anything, just goof around for like a week straight, and I'd still get a good grade. And when I got a bad grade, I'd double the fucking points the next project, right? But then I go to uni, and now there's so many people from so many different walks of life talking about so many different things. I didn't know where I was in all of that. And I think when my reality shattered for the first time, I didn't know what to do. So I started developing a lot of anxiety, which manifested in insomnia. Kumon, did you do Kumon?
Holy shit.
fucking hated that shit. Dude, fuck Kumon. Even the logo hates it. Even the fucking kid on the logo hates
He's
it.
not smiling.
Literally. No, literally, yeah. Anime is the reason I'm in Japan, full stop. Like, that is the impetus for a lot of the decisions I've made in life. Watching anime. Like, literally, like, watching anime is probably... Getting into anime was probably the most pivotal moment in my life. Like, in my entire life, man. It literally, like... The propaganda worked on me, bro. The Japanese imperial propaganda worked on me, bro. And I'd eat it up again. And I still eat it up. And I still eat it up. And I still eat it up.
Okay.
This is a Pokemon, yeah, which is Japan's #1 cultural export. And then we got Pochita. I still eat it up. And if you pan the camera around, which you don't have to because it'll fuck up the framing, I got like posters and like... I'm a weeb, man. I'm a weeb. I'm a fucking weeb. The anime that touched me first in my life was something... It wasn't Pokemon. It wasn't these like... You know, there's like anime that's like kind of like prevalent in the West, and it's almost like they become cartoons almost, like they become synonymous with cartoons, like anime that's been exported and localized and all these things. Like, I wouldn't count that as like me really being into anime. So I did watch a lot of Pokemon growing up, so I got used to the art style mainly through Pokemon. I got used to the art style mainly through things like Teen Titans. Pokemon, Totally Spies. A lot of those older like anime style cartoons. Shout out Kappa Mikey if anybody remembers what the fuck that is. So I had watched a lot of these like localized anime. And then the first anime that I saw that was like localized but wasn't super duper big, so it was like getting a little bit more niche. It's not niche at all in Japan, by the way. It was Inazuma 11, which is an anime where they can shoot fire tornadoes out of their legs and shoot like energy blasts and like summon ice storms and star storms, all to play football, basically. All to play football. So it's like Captain Tsubasa, but with more like insane like fantasy elements and stuff. And obviously at first I was like, this shit's stupid. Like, it's just a bunch of kids like generating fireballs to like score goals. But there was something in that where I was like, damn, they literally didn't have to go that crazy just to fucking make a football anime. So like, there's this move in that anime called, what is it in English? In Japanese, it's called Kotei Penguin, which is Emperor Penguin. And so what they do is like they whistle, and then these penguins, like 8 penguins, come out the ground like, and they all fly towards the fucking soccer ball. And it's like so random. It's like, up to this point, I'd been watching Pokemon, which has like an in-world logic, like they're Pokemon, right? Cool. Or like, I had also been watching Naruto, reading Naruto. And that's like, it's a whole world of ninjas. So it, you know, it kind of makes sense that they're all like that. But here's like an anime with a bunch of school kids fucking going crazy with a fucking football. And from that moment, I think something changed in me. I think something changed in me when I saw that you can only get something that weird in anime. Like that outlandish in anime. The way you put it like that, it kind of makes sense why my current favorite anime and my favorite anime ever is Panty and Stocking, because it's also one of these like completely nonsensical shows with like completely out of whack proportions and like complete creativity. I think that inadvertently all of that stuff has led me to getting to work with a lot of the people that I work with now. Like, my biggest project besides Panic Works is obviously Bien Shogai Tantei Shudan, of which I am basically the logistics person of it. Hey, if you did your research on me, it's on my profile.
We're talking. I'm I'm not anyone. I'm just the audience. So, the audience isn't gonna know what you're talking about.
Okay, okay,
So
okay, okay.
you gotta pitch it.
It is this. It is a series of parties that I have done with my designer Mika, whereby we really take that like internet addict sort of like raw vibes and channel it into these wacky edits, these wacky parties. And incidentally, Mika also really likes panty and stocking. So we have come up with the same path separately. And yeah. But I think, weirdly enough, I do feel a little bit lonely. Because I think that in a lot of the places I've been to, or like a lot of places that people I've interacted with, for the earlier parts of my career, I had always felt like I was super out of place. Like, super out of place. Now I feel like I have a context in which I can live in fully. But before that, I felt completely lonely. Felt completely alone. This first thing that pops up in my head is during my earlier career, starting out as a DJ in Tokyo, I had started out in Roppongi, which is very, very. It has a not so good reputation.
Is it more mainstream?
It's not just mainstream, but it's like Roppongi can be a shady place. It's kind of a shady area, and definitely people are not there for your best interest. And I didn't know any better, so I DJ'd there, and because it had a very specific sort of like thing they were looking for, I felt like it had become sort of a challenge in myself to find a way for me to connect what I like with what people there want. And my earlier career was defined by me taking nerdy samples and nerdy instrumentals and trying to mix them with things like tech house, or yeah, mainly tech house. I started with tech house, and so I would like quantize like the Star Wars OST onto like grids and then like layer that, and like that would be my attempt at getting people to connect with what I'm doing. And I say this because I remember vividly, like maybe my third or fourth gig in my life. It's like this bar in Roppongi. Some dude had called me to like a student party or something, and I was DJing things that I was DJing, and I started off with like more tech house, more listenable tech house and stuff. No lyrics or anything. Like I don't really put lyrics on my songs, which is already like one thing that people there didn't really like. And then I started mixing into more nerdy stuff and like trying to get people to dance, to like trying to get people to have fun. Like, oh my god, he's playing the fucking Darth Vader theme. Like that's so funny. And I'm like bobbing up and down, and I'm like having a really great time. And then I just look around, and like everybody's like just waiting around. Like everybody's just sitting around and waiting around. And like it I didn't feel sad because I already knew that I was alone here. Like I already knew that I was alone where I was. It more like confirmed to me that like this is not where I want to be. But then I remember also there are three dudes just standing in front of me, and they were dancing. And rather than feeling like, man, I didn't do a good job that night, I realized like even though I'm lonely and alone where I'm at, I can always find people who like what I do. And I'm so lucky that I learned that so quickly into my career. There's like a difference between people who make stuff in order to meet the demands of other people, and people like doing that. They like making their own take on other people's things and trying to find a niche within their own community. But at that time, I didn't have a community, so I didn't have a niche. So I was like doing basically like whatever I wanted. And this completely relates to every anime that I've ever liked personally, where the creators really just try to do whatever they want. My favorite animes are like Panty and Stalking, which is like super weird anime. And then there's Kill la Kill, which is also a really weird anime. You know Kill la Kill? Kill la Kill is one of my favorite animes, bro. Like, it's about naked people fighting clothes. Like, it's the most ridiculous concept ever. I mean, I like Evangelion. It's actually really funny because the studio that made Evangelion is the same studio that made Panty and Stalking, which is really weird. Those are the immediate things that stand out to my head right now, and like, you can say that I was trying to make my own anime within I was trying to make my own anime within a world that I didn't know. But I felt that at that moment I could just do anything I wanted and find people that would like it. And that gave me a lot of power really fast. I obviously didn't like immediately be like, oh, I can just do whatever I want, like do anything, make anything I want. Like, I'm still very much a people pleaser. But I think something in my heart changed to be realize that like, as long as I keep doing something, people will like it without me asking them to like it. And that was like the impetus for everything. I remember after that set, I just did everything but more. And that changed my life, yeah. So my goal was to make nerd music club friendly, right? Like, I wanted to play nerd music but at the club and get people dancing and do all of these things, right? So that is what led to me starting music production, actually. I had already known how to use FL Studio, but I had never made a full track before. And the first song that I was like so happy with was like, you can move here, by the way.
Oh no.
Just lay down, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a break after.
Okay.
Stop the recording and take a
Okay.
break. Well, no. Finish your
Okay.
last. Yeah.
I remember the first remix that I was so happy with was I made this Champion Cynthia remix from Pokemon, and that was like on the cusp of me becoming more of a hard techno DJ, and like learning hard techno really gave me impetus to start doing music production. So I was able to achieve my goal of like making nerd music club ready, and even beyond that, like my aesthetic sensibilities, like I really like black, so I only wear black. I like certain art styles, so I try to replicate them in any way I can. Like everything I like I knew that everything I liked personally would keep driving me forward. And so through that whole experience of coming to Japan, feeling lonely, feeling left out, I came out of it knowing exactly what I wanted to do, which is everything I do right now. Panicworks has always been my project, but it has evolved a lot. Started off with so I used to actually be a fashion influencer, like a niche fashion influencer, because I got a lot of followers from this Indonesian YouTuber, and there were a lot of fangirls there that really liked fashion content, so I made like fashion edits. Shout out Wisdom K. You know, everybody's inspired by him. I was like basically a Wisdom K light, and I was more into fashion before. like before I focused on music primarily. And then I think about 6 months ago, I like took down all of my fashion related stuff. I just got rid of everything, and I'm like, I just want to do music. Like, I don't care about taking fit pics anymore. Like, everything is like just me. It's just my music. So
That's actually really recent.
yeah, it's pretty recent that like I think I was serious about it. I was serious about fashion influencing years ago, but I had just kept putting pictures on my Instagram. Like, I didn't want to do it anymore, but I didn't know how to pivot from that. So I just kept uploading stuff like that. And then 6 months ago was when I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna delete everything. but Panicworks has always, but Panicworks has always been sort of a repository of mine to put up visualizers, art that I do. It's basically like my art archive. And relatively recently, I've focused more on like the music aspect of it. I started making music when I started making music when I got to uni. So when so actually in middle school, high school, I learned FL Studio by doing a lot of like meme rap stuff, like SoundCloud rapping stuff. And I made one SoundCloud rap song which will never see the light of day. Only the people, if you know, you know. I'm just saying, if you know, you know. But I seriously got into making more music when I started DJing. Because when I started DJing, I got way into electronic music. I learned more about techno and all these things. Like, I literally did not know anything about that before high school. All I knew about that stuff was like remixes of video game music in those particular styles. I didn't know that they were like genres, which is crazy. Because there's this like techno Reggie Rock, Reggie Steel, Reggie Ice remix by Poke Remix Studio that I would listen to all the time as a kid. And it was like straight up techno. I didn't know, I thought that that sound was just that one song. So when I started DJing, I learned so much more, but like that's how sheltered I was. Like, I didn't know anything. So I DJed, did music, and then I started making remixes of Pokemon stuff, which is like a full circle moment. And that's when I got really into making music. And so my first few releases on SoundCloud were all remix stuff, completely remix stuff. There's so much remix stuff. And then when I started making my original music, I started like about a year and a half ago. I delved really deep into traditional instrumentation in a club context. So if you look at my early releases on Spotify, it's mostly a lot of my experiments with traditional percussion, but mixing it for like the club and stuff like that, which influenced how I do stuff now, because I also work as Kali Yuga, which is a hard drum trio. So it started with video game stuff, and then it diverged into like putting my cultural interests in my music and using what I learned from making remixes into being able to make my own original songs. So most of my work on SoundCloud are like Baile Funk anime remixes. And that took off a little bit because Baile Funk was super trendy, and then you just layer that with anime vocals and it becomes like even more fun. And I think all of that experience, starting with like my hard techno Pokemon remixes, which I used to make. They're not on SoundCloud anymore, but I used to make minimal techno, like dub techno Pokemon remixes. So I would get whatever I liked and recontextualize them into a genre or whatever that already exists. So up to that point, a lot of the times I sat down and make music, it was like, how can I get something else? How can I get something and recontextualize it into something else? So there was always like this recontextualizing aspect of it, whereby like it needed to bounce off something else. Whereas on Keep Going, that was really the first project of mine where I sat down and I let anything come out. So what you end up having is like a lot of remnants of the things that I used to do on SoundCloud. I made like a full video game OST on SoundCloud for a video game that doesn't exist. Like I just made up a video game in my head, and I thought about the levels in my head, and that was like my melody making project. That was like learning how to make melodies, because at that time I was so bad at making melodies. I was so bad at like music theory and all these things. So I literally dedicated an entire project just to do that. And then you're complemented by my more danceable projects like the Baile Funk remixes and the hard techno remixes. So I get a lot of that like sensibility on how to make dance music from that stuff. And so I had just finished my melody making project, and I had fully understood how to make music for the club. So Keep Going is like this raw fusion of all of those elements. And like, I don't actually think that it's a huge departure from what I do. I think it's actually the natural evolution of everything that I had been doing from the beginning. The only difference now is I just sat down and made whatever I wanted to make, or I made whatever I felt like I wanted to make. And that is why I think that this EP of mine is something that is worth for me to talk about.
Has a slow, melancholy, deep bass, synth pianos that trickles like rain. Should be the last song, honestly. But you know.
And I like that you say it should be the last song, because that song is actually the last song that I had made for that. And I expected it to be the last song too. I was so adamant in having it be the last song up till the point where I uploaded it. Now this is for a variety of reasons. But like when I was writing that song, it was pretty much that song that you're hearing that's on Spotify right now was probably the rawest emotions that I had felt maybe 6 months before releasing the album. So it was like the freshest song. It was just the freshest, perhaps not freshest, but it was a fresh representation of how I felt when I made most of that album. Because that album actually is made in two parts. The first part was when I had just graduated uni and I had a year in my visa left to find a job. And throughout that whole time, I had thought that, like, if I don't find a job, if I don't make it in Japan, or find a way to make it in Japan, I'd have to go back home. And so what that meant for me was going back home, back to Indonesia, was essentially a death sentence. That going back home meant that everything was over. And so up to that point, the first half of the album was that state of thinking that going back home would basically be over. Like the next time I go back home, it's done. But if anybody knows me, I went back to Jakarta like 4 or 5 months ago, and my life wasn't over. And that's what the second part of the album is. And so what I felt writing Nowhere to Go was that I literally felt like I had nowhere to go. It was literally just how I felt. There was no other hidden meaning behind it. That track, How It Feels, is literally, perhaps you can't be a literal representation, that's like an oxymoron, but it was a pretty strong representation of how I felt when I had nowhere to go. And so this whole journey started from there. And I had thought that it would be best suited for the end of the album, but I wanted it to be at the beginning so that anybody who listens would know where I was at the beginning. And that's why that's the first song, and that's why that song sounds like that. You've identified that I name my songs quite literally. Because that song was like, I literally made that on the plane back to Indonesia. Like, that was like the first thing that I did on the way back home, thinking that like my home has nothing left for me. And I was on a plane. Incidentally, a Boeing 727. Wow! What an inspired track. But I like to use titles to really get the physical nature of where I was when I wrote the song. Physical and mental space of where I was when I wrote the song. And like, I think that sound being the first thing I made on the plane back home, like, I think it spoke leagues as to how I felt going back to Indonesia. I think it spoke so much to how, like, I felt. Because for context, before that, the last time I had gone back to Indonesia was 3 years prior. And after that, I thought the next time I was in Indonesia would be when I get deported or some shit. Now, I mean, I knew I wasn't gonna get deported, but just like the next time I was in Indonesia would be when everything had died. When I had effectively died.
Nowhere left to go.
When I had nowhere left to go, yeah. I guess I was just trying to like mix it really loud to drown out the noise of the airplane. And the poor lady next to me was like, I was like going so hard. I was like, do, 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 do. Like in my head, I was like so into it. And then I could tell she was just like having a nice little nap. And right next to her, I was like I was like literally moving and shit and like doing stuff on my laptop. And it was like, I didn't feel it, but like 2 hours had passed when I finished the song. Like, it was crazy. Flight was like 5 hours, so like, no, 7 hours. Someone fact check that. I don't remember how long the flight was. But yeah.
The contrast in that story is hilarious.
Yeah, like she's like, I'm spinning like a ballerina. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Speaking of spinning,
Yeah. Oh,
The
nice
song
segue. Nice segue. Ah. Yeah.
the song after that is called Vortex.
Mm.
I wrote 80 beats, but I think 808 beats.
Mm.
There's a duck sample,
Yeah, there's the duck.
and I think it also uses the bi sample.
Yeah. By the way, that vai is actually vai, and that's a sample used a lot in Brazilian funk stuff. And I like to just put that in there when like I want it to sound like swaggier. Like it's got that like swagginess to it. So I mean, it's actually very, 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 if not one of the most common samples in baile funk, like Brazilian funk music. There's always like, it's like a very like, so I have a lot of people in the Brazilian funk community, the baile funk community. I know a lot of people in that community, and they make music and all that stuff. And like, what it essentially is like very, it's like citizen music. It's like average citizen, like, not average citizen, but like, wait, I have a word for it in Indonesian, but I cannot explain it in English.
Say it.
In Indonesian, we call it rakyat, musik rakyat, which is like the music of the people, like the music of, like, just the music of the people. Like, Indonesia is a huge country, right? Like 100 million people across, like, maybe more than 100 million people. I don't know. We have a lot of people, And things like dangdut, koplo, fangkot, these are described as like musik rakyat, which is like music of the people, which is like what it's like so it's so like isolated from like Western sensibilities that like it belongs to the people almost. And so baile funk is that, but in Brazil. And the sample of him going vai, which means go, is like that happens in the parts of the song that are like they feel really swaggy and like super like pumped. And I wanted to use that in certain parts of my songs in that album because it like it just feels like it keeps going and going and going. Name drop. title of the album drop. It just feels like a sample that keeps going and going, and incidentally it means go, right? It means go. So like just from like making a lot of baile funk remixes, yeah, contributing to the fucking gentrification of baile funk, sorry, because I wrote the trend. It was in my arsenal, so I used that a lot, yeah.
When you say the word go, because the word go can mean a lot of different things. I can imagine, like go, like an energetic, let's go sort of thing. But also, could it also imply other meanings of the word go?
Yeah, I mean, like, just how I feel when I listen to that part of a song. It's just like a voice in my head saying go over and over and over and over again. Like, I feel like there's like this detached, disembodied voice that is just saying like go, 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 go. Like, I don't know where it's telling me to go, but it's like telling me to keep going. That's how I feel when I hear that sample. Obviously Brazilians might look at it differently. They might even think I'm crazy. But like when I hear that, it is like this like incessant voice in my head. It's not a specific story, but my parents went through a lot raising me, which I only understood obviously as an adult fully. And like it, as much as I like to say that I was in a sheltered home with like everything provided for me, I had everything. It's like this weird limbo where I had everything provided for me, but there was clearly something wrong. My mom was really stressed out all the time. Like she was in a constant state of stress. And that didn't even stop when I went to uni. She was just full of worry and stress for me and my sister. Now that we're a little bit better off, like, she's not freaking out as much. But growing up, there was definitely this element of like stress, like a constant stress. And yeah, that's how it was. Vi?
Vi.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
So you gotta keep going.
That's the name of the EP!
What instruments did you play as a kid?
Nothing. No instruments.
And growing up?
Nothing. Literally nothing. I can't play an instrument right now. MIDI keyboard? They're FL keys actually. Just distorted like a guitar. And I programmed them in. I can't play an instrument. Like I literally cannot. All I can do on the piano is like one Tyler the Creator song. And that's literally it. Because I like the chords. The chords are really nice. And it's really easy to like riff off the chords. But no, I took one guitar lesson, figured out how to do the G scale, never did it again. I don't know how to play an instrument at all. I don't know anything about rock. I don't know, like, I couldn't name a single rock band. Rolling Stones, is that rock? I'm gonna get crucified for that, but like, I don't listen to rock at all. Like, I don't listen to rock at all. I don't know anything about rock. Good one, interviewer man. Good one. Yeah, I mean, like, this goes for a lot of things, actually. For a lot of types of music, for a lot of types of genres. Growing up, I never listened to genre. I listened to whether or not it was an anime opening or whether or not it was in a video game. So, a lot of the animes that I watched growing up have rock openings, have openings influenced by rock. A lot of, obviously Naruto, a lot of openings influenced by rock. My Hero Academia, especially. First ending of the first season. Sorry, the ending song of the first season. Peak. Just, I would listen to that on repeat over and over and over and over. And, like, in games too, there is a lot of rock. Pivotal soundtrack to my childhood, middle school, high school, adolescence was the Final Fantasy Dissidia soundtrack.
PSP.
On the PSP. That's right. On the PSP. And I actually, the only actual Final Fantasy game I had played were never the mainline ones. I played all the side games. So I played Final Fantasy XII Tactics, but not Final Fantasy XII. Or I'd play Final Fantasy Crisis Core, but not Final Fantasy VII, which is messed up, I know, but like, I wasn't so much drawn to the traditional JRPG elements as I think most Final Fantasy fans are. I liked the side games, especially Final Fantasy XII Tactics. That was the first Final Fantasy game I ever played. And so Dissidia is this like fighting game on the PSP where it's all the characters from all the games combined. And what that means is all of their OSTs are combined too. So all the battle music from all the games had the original versions and like the rearranged versions for the Dissidia one. And that soundtrack to this day, I think, is my greatest influence. Besides Pokemon, which is like, my actual biggest influence is 100% Pokemon. But specifically for rock, Final Fantasy Dissidia OST has a lot of guitars in it. Especially like stuff like Battle on the Big Bridge. It goes like yeah, that one, which is super. Wait, no, that's not Battle on the Big Bridge. Is that the Final Fantasy VII one? Dude, I'm such a poser, bro. That's the Final Fantasy VII one. I'm actually such a huge poser. Battle on the Big Bridge? What the fuck, bro? My knowledge is gone, but that is the Final Fantasy one. Yeah, that I like listening to that. Wait, no, that is that. Wait, let's double check that. Let's double check what that is. I don't wanna be a dumbass on camera, bro. Well, I'm already a dumbass on camera, but like, Battle on the Big Bridge. Oh, that's Battle on the Big Bridge. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah. And oh my god, deep cut that you're awakening right now. The real actual reason I know that song, Battle on the Big Bridge, which is the most famous, I think the most famous, besides Final Fantasy VII, the most famous like reused battle music in Final Fantasy, is because of this really old Pokemon YouTuber called Aquablade11. I don't know what they go by now, but back then they would like make videos about like Pokemon battling each other, and they'd make them on like PowerPoint. And the opening of these battles, like the opening of the episodes, would always be like Battle on the Big Bridge and like stuff like that. And there was this specific Firecross overclocked remix that really stuck with me as a kid. And like, I'll just play it for you right now. Like, you might actually be like making me discover some shit again. Dude, it's crazy. Battle on the Big. This one. This thing. Like, I would listen to this all the time as a kid. I forgot how good this was. Yeah, but
So when the song keep going, there's like a synth. That sort of sounds inspired by that one song you just showed us.
that is actually inspired by a completely separate thing, which is Indonesian gamelan. So I actually, in one of my earlier EPs on side questing, I made a song. I dropped a track called Kecak Core, which is completely inspired by Balinese gamelan, Balinese sounds. It was like this auditory experiment on how I can inject my culture into my context. And throughout that whole experience, I was learning the scale of the gamelan. It's like a pentatonic scale, which has like specific spacings that, to my ears, sounds like a gamelan. I don't have the specific musical terminology to explain why it sounds like a gamelan, but these 5 notes, when paired together, sound exactly like how it felt when I was in Bali growing up, going on vacation in Bali growing up, going to the hotel lobbies, always listening to this kind of music. And there's like this specific movement at the end of the scale where it goes back to the 1, like the 5 and the, not the 5 and the 1, but the 5 and the 3. They interact the 4 and the 3. No, the 5 and the 3. They interact. When they interact, it just sounds Indonesian to me. Like, yeah. If you listen to my older releases, you'll if you listen to my old release on side questing, you can hear that. And this part of Keep Going is specifically made to replicate that, because that kind of gamelan music has always felt nostalgic to me, but also it sounds really, it feels like in this track I wanted the background to be so enveloping, and gamelan ensembles are insanely like rich and layered and textured, and they just envelop you. And so I wanted this like creeping sense behind you where like it's just constant. So that's what that was inspired by.
Gamelan, you showed me the video. I need to. They're like really drum based.
They're all like percussion, like it's basically like a bunch of like xylophones of various different shapes and sizes, and it has like this specific tuning that actually sounds really detuned, and so it's like the whole ensemble feels like it's like very detuned, but they're all like playing in unison, and it sounds like it just has this rich, interesting texture to it.
Yeah, it's sort of like a bunch of chaos.
Yeah.
But the chaos creates harmony.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. The chaos, it's like, the chaos creates, it's a lot of chaos, but there's like a harmony to it. It's like a controlled sort of chaos. So, like I said in the beginning, the EP is divided into 2 parts, where the first half is how I felt when I thought that going back home was a death sentence, and the second half was made while I was there. And Victory is Forever was made in one of my uncles, like he makes music as a hobby and he has a studio. So I literally like I don't know this uncle, by the way. Like, I've met him like twice, and I'm like, can I borrow your studio, like just for like the speakers? And like, he's like, yeah, sure. And I ended up making a song that was like, I have a really hard time making happy music. I have a really hard time making music that is like fun. But what came out of that whole experience was like this song that felt like joy to make for me. That was like halfway through my trip in Jakarta. The trip that I thought like that I had dreaded for like years. And I ended up making my most elated song within that trip. And that's what that song is. It's like, I don't know how, but like I channeled this joyous element to it. And the title of Victory is Forever is actually a 2-part phrase. Incidentally, it's from my favorite character in League of Legends, who doesn't even exist anymore because he got reworked. Fuck Riot. It was one of my favorite lines from Aatrox. Did you ever play League?
Wait, they got rid of Aatrox?
They reworked him and completely changed how he is.
Oh yeah.
A while ago, or a long time ago.
Yeah, that's weird.
I was a die-hard old Aatrox fan because of the way he spoke and the way he carried himself as a character. He was like, I'm really a fan of like Eldritch being like mysterious. Like, I hate having things that are like overly explained to me. And Aatrox as a character was like, just a little tangent about League of Legends, but Aatrox as a character was like this entity that was seen in all of the world's mythologies, and nobody knew what he did. Nobody like knew what he did. Nobody knew exactly where he came from. But what they did know is that whenever there was a war and Aatrox appeared, anybody who was losing would win. And his a voice line from him that they didn't even fucking use again for some fucking reason, because the character is just completely different now. Now he's just angry. Now he's just so angry. It's so annoying. It's like it has no freaking, whatever. I'm getting too annoyed by this. My favorite line from him was, "Pain is temporary, victory is forever." And I have a song named Pain is Temporary. And that was the first song that I had made that was exactly the way I wanted it to sound in my head. And that's on side questing. And I would play this song all the time, actually, when I'm DJing. Like, it was a really good, like, ender. Like, a really good ender. Like, you should listen to it after. But, like, it's this, like, big, victorious, like, bagpipe intro, like, heavy sub bass. And it's, like, so fun to make, so fun to write. And for the longest time, I couldn't make a Victory is Forever. Like, I had a Pain is Temporary, but I didn't have a Victory is Forever. Because, like, I think looking back, it's like, I hadn't found the victory until I made this song. When I came home and I made it right then and there. I had Victories is Forever before. Like, I had drafts, but it was like, it wasn't right. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a true sequel to Pain is Temporary, and it didn't feel like it did justice to the phrase. But after this one, we're like, whatever I felt making that song is exactly what the title is. And that's where that all came from. Oh, fuck yeah, man. I felt like he was reworked like 6 years ago, bro. It's like they killed him. They fucking killed him, bro. Like they legit put him out back and put a bullet through his skull. Like, people don't a lot of people don't actually like the old one. But me and a lot of people who like only played that one character really like this one specific character. And he'd been dead for a fucking long time, bro. they changed the lore of the character. So Riot has been doing this thing where they really want to expand on the lore and explain everything that's happening. And that's great for a lot of factions, but Aatrox is like part of this like very eldritch. He filled a very like eldritch Lovecraftian sort of theming within the game previously, which doesn't exist in the same manner. And not only does it not exist in the same manner anymore, his whole race and his whole backstory has been like completely explained. Like there's nothing wrong with explaining backstories and stuff, but to me that his character specifically felt like this mythological, mysterious force that cannot just be explained. And I'm a fan of those kind of things. That's why my favorite game of all time is Bloodborne. It's all about eldritch beings, which is also a very huge impact on my music taste, actually, Bloodborne. And in doing so, they changed his characteristics, his behavior, and they completely changed how he played. So before, he would mainly be auto-attacking and like diving full force into the enemy. Like, you really felt like you were like, you exist to turn the tide. Like, you jump in and YOLO, and it's like, people say, oh, it's bad game design, whatever. Bro, I don't care. It was so fun, bro. And now he's a spellcaster now. He casts spells with his sword, but like he doesn't like jump in and like go crazy anymore. And I like that aspect about him because he was a calm character. His voice lines were all calm, his voice lines were all rational, but the way you played him was like relentless. And now he's just angry all the time. All his voice lines are angry, all his voice lines are about killing. And he has like this slight like, oh, I feel bad for killing kind of thing, or like, oh, I'm so tortured kind of thing. I don't like that. People like it. I don't like that. And then I stopped playing League forever, which was actually a really good. It was good for me. Yeah. You have to be a little bit more like. Basically, now when he casts a spell, he slams his sword, right? And at the tip of the sword, that's where it's the strongest. So like you're kind of like at the edge of things, and you space things, and you have to like weave in and out. But that's not like what I wanted to play Aatrox for. Like I wanted to play him as like a fuck it, we ball YOLO, like we just jump in and go like da, 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 da. Like I like that. But also people say, oh, but Tryndamere exists. Well, Tryndamere is an angry character. I don't like that he's angry. His whole shtick is that he's angry. I like Aatrox because he's like fuck it, we ball, but also like I don't have to be angry. Like I like that. I really like that about his older character. Yeah, I want everybody to win. I constantly find a way where I can help other people win. Whether it's by helping them start something, like how I've helped a lot of people start DJing, or teach people new things, or help people meet new people so that they can get something done. I just want us to win. We have to win. Can't lose. Losers run the world. That's why we have to win. Yeah, well, that's what happens when they rework the fucking character. I have to be them. I have to be them. I can no longer attach that part of myself to something. Now I am that. Based on how you've been going about this, yeah, I can say that I am the real Aatrox, bro. I am the real motherfucking Aatrox, bitch. That's right, bitch. You can't rework me. You can't rework me, bitch. Absolutely, I have taken these characters that I've loved and I've related to and inadvertently found ways to just, without even really thinking about it, just based off of me liking these things. The things I do will have a certain direction, right? So absolutely, there's so many different characters I've taken from, there's so many different stories I've taken from, there's so many different perspectives I've taken from, and surprisingly the thing that I've taken from the least is music. I don't really listen to music, actually, besides when I DJ or when I'm finding DJ music. I don't. Yeah, which is very interesting, actually, now that I think about it. So right now, every Wednesday, I run the open decks at my workplace, whereby people come in, they hop on the decks, play whatever music they want, swap out with somebody else, and then we also have recording sessions. So people have the opportunity to show their music for like an hour, record it, do anything with the recording. But yeah, that's what I do at work. I hate calling myself a community manager. Like, what am I like? I'm not like taking care of a bunch of like little pieces and a bunch of sims and like getting them to do things and like that's what I do. Like, I don't like calling myself or labeling myself a community manager. I don't like putting that on myself because like I don't know, it's just like getting people together and doing stuff, which is like here, yes, definitionally I am a community manager. I do community management stuff. But I just like I hate the title. Like I don't identify with that title. I don't like it just doesn't feel organic to call myself like, oh, I'm the community manager. Like I manage communities. Like, why does it have to have a title? Like I'm just me. Like I'm just me. Like, yeah. I don't need titles, bro. Obviously on my resume I'm gonna put community manager. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna leverage that shit. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna leverage that shit and fucking put it in my resume and like fucking send that out and like, oh, I have fucking 4 years like experience plus being a community manager, blah 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 blah. I know that capitalistically and for fucking shareholder value or whatever. But if I'm talking about me, I don't like that. I don't like calling myself a community manager. Just like so official. Like, oh my god, just chill, man. It's just parties. Like, come on. Fucking hell, dude. I'm the manager. Like, oh, I manage this. I manage you. Me when I have two of my friends talking to each other that I introduced. I'm managing this interaction. Like I'm not a fan of that. But it is true that definitionally what I do is I get people talking to each other, get people talking to me, get people networking with people. I put together like this photo shoot. Like I put together this photo shoot by just like knowing a videographer, a photographer, models, getting people together, getting people interested in doing something. And it's just like leveraging, that's, I'm so fucking corporate, bro. I've been, no corporate stuff. Like everybody just has something they want to do, right? And like, it's not that hard to get people to do what they want to do. So you just put the right people together and they'll go do something sick. And they won't even, some people don't even realize that. Some people don't even realize, hey, actually what I like is actually pretty cool and valuable, and like some other people would like working with that. And like all I do is like, bro, I've been around, I know what's happening. You can definitely do something with what you like, what you do. And it gets people moving. My goal is not to like be the guy that like brings everyone along to the end, get them to the end, make a big company, be a giant artist, do all these things. No, I just want to be there and be like, go take that first step. Because that's always the hardest thing. Take the first step. It's worth it taking the first step. That's what I like to tell people. Because most people stop before they even started. Music, maybe 5 years, yeah.
But the community building, let's call you community building.
The community building is, I think I became more involved in that maybe a year and a half ago when I started Bien Shogai Tante Shudan, because that required like getting out there and talking to people and like seeing what people like, working with my designer, Panic Works also like really started getting more traction once I started getting booked more by like people in the underground scene in Tokyo. So it's like people at the forefront, people who are like who literally don't know what the fuck they're doing, just like me, but they're doing it. That's when I started going out there, seeing more people, looking at what people do, and then looking at my own community and my own circles and like, hey, what could they do? Like for example, my closest friend, he's a vet. So we look at that and we're like, oh, he's a vet, so he heals like animals, he works with animals, he does this. But what you can also get out of that is that he's really good organizational skills. He's really good at memorizing things. He's really good at doing a lot of different things that relate to that task, right? And you can just recontextualize that into literally anything. Like, for example, like he's super into fashion, super into fashion, very good at thrifting. But for some reason, there is this divide between I am a vet and I like fashion. There's never a divide between the things that you like or what you do. There's always a way to connect it. Like, always some way to connect it and thereby connect with the community. Like, if you, for example, like for the more employed people, for the more employed ones of us, people always talk about like investing, right? Like investing in stocks, investing in all of these things. But if you go out there to your communities, if you go out there and put yourself out there representing the things that you like and that you do the best, you will literally identify where you can invest your money in directly to make a change. It doesn't have to be this far away stock exchange. That's not the only way to grow capital. Even within, like, now I'm talking about capital, now I'm talking about money, because it's like, people like to say that there's like a distinction between creative people and non-creative people. Business folk, analysts, whatever. But they're fucking creative, bro. These guys can find ways to make money out of anything. And if that means exploiting some people, that's unfortunately what they do. But like, everybody is creative. Everybody is like, being creative is being human. And so what that means is that whatever you do is creative. There is no distinction. There are no distinctions within yourself. You are like you. And within that, those different parts of yourself, you can find crazy ways to connect it. So what I do is I connect people that want to connect the things within themselves so that they know what they can do, not just what they can't do. Mic drop, bitch. How's that for a sound bite? Boom. Boom. That has been my entire life in Japan, especially now with how the government is. Anti-immigration policies are rising, anti-immigration hate is rising. It's tough for an immigrant right now in Japan. And my entire story is making it work. My entire story is about making it work. It's about making this whole thing work without having to do the things that I hate to do. My whole story is about figuring it out. And it's still going. I'm still figuring it out. And I don't have to tell you a story because that is my life. That is actually my life. Like I went from like nothing in Japan, not having a community, not having any stable source of income, not figuring it out, to figuring it out by beating them. I had the opportunity to learn how to DJ. I did it. Through DJing, I found out more about music. Through finding more about music, I found out more about people. Through finding out about more people, I found out about communities. And through communities, I find so much talented people in the world. So much people who do so many cool things. And not just that, but getting people involved with each other is a joy in and of itself. And like fucking like it's hard for me to answer this because this is just my life. Like, this is just my life, and everything I do has given me impetus to keep pursuing what I want to do without compromise, without compromising on who I am or what I want. And it's not even about just doing what I want and everybody else has to go along with it. No. Community exists. People exist. The context of the world in which we exist in exists. And you can't operate without that knowledge. It's what you do with that knowledge that creates your niche. And the world is nothing to be afraid of when you see it as a world that is meant to provide for your dreams. Surprisingly, I don't know much about Porter Robinson. The thing that impacted me the most about him, though, is, of course, Shelter. Like, when it first came out, it was so mind-blowing to me that, like, this Western artist worked with a real Japanese anime studio to create a music video. And that was right when I was so deep into anime. And like, Porter's direction on the Shelter music video just felt so authentic. Like, it felt like one of those animes that would come out at that era where like, and whereby a lot of anime at that time really didn't make much sense till the end. In fact, most of them did not make any sense for most of the episodes. There was so much nonsense anime back then where that kind of storytelling is just not the same anymore. That type of storytelling does not exist in the same way that it did back then. I recall this anime that was the first anime non-localized, fully subbed, fan subbed. Back then there was only fan subs, by the way. No Crunchyroll, no nothing. All we had was fan subs. And there was this anime called Kyoran Kazoku Nikki, which literally translates to Crazy Family Diary. And it was this most random ensemble cast of like a lion, a jellyfish, an alien, and a little girl, and like a gay dude. And that was like one of those animes where every episode like something weird was happening, like it was just like fun, crazy stuff, and then everything was tied up at the end. And the feeling I get from Shelter, especially the music video, was like, it was never about being so coherent from the beginning. You know, it was never about having an explained system or like having a explained world or having everything be explained before we get to the feeling of it. Because it just started with that feeling and then everything made sense at the end. And that's why it felt so authentic to me at the time. And even now, like, I would say that I actually relatively recently only listened to his earlier music. Because like like I would listen to music, but like I wouldn't dig so hard into the artists. And then I come back to his music like after everything's said and done, or I'm already doing this stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, why didn't I know about this earlier? Like, it happens, right? So like, just from that one song, that one music video alone, I find myself getting very attached to like one thing, and like one thing only, and like really attached to it. I mean, that's how I play games. I have mains that I literally touch for hundreds of hours, never touch any other character. I guess I feel that way about some artists and some music too, where I just like love this very specific part of them. And it's almost like why I'm not really a fan of a lot of artists. I wouldn't call myself a fan of Porter Robinson. I wouldn't call myself even a fan of people like Nina Geraci. I like very specific elements to their music and to their work, and I just hold those things so dear to me. It makes me a very bad fan. It makes me a very, very bad fan. But it touches me in a different way. And with Porter Robinson, it was Shelter. It affected just so much about my work.
You could say you really love the world that he built.
Yes.
In Shelter.
I really love the world that he built in Shelter. It was really like, it was honestly, it changed my life, man. That music video and that song changed my life. Like, it changed my life. Like, didn't know that people could do that. I didn't know people could just do that.
What do you mean by that?
Collaborate with an anime studio, first of all. Like, that was like, whoa, like, never thought you could do that. Work with an anime studio.
You're specifically talking about a foreigner working with a Japanese anime studio, right?
That never crossed my mind that he was not Japanese. I just thought that it was cool that you could work with a Japanese studio, like an anime studio. Like, I never thought of him as a foreigner interacting with Japanese stuff. Now that I live here, I get it. That's also like a plus. Like, wow, that is crazy. But when I first listened to it and watched it, not on my mind at all. What's that one that he did with Hatsune Miku? Dude, I'm such a horrible fan, bro. I'm such a horrible, like, I shouldn't be doing music, bro. The She Depends on You, that one. What's it called? Yeah, Sad Machine. Bro, I don't have to be a fan of Porter Robinson to know that that song has influenced everyone up till today. Like, I didn't know that song existed in high school, but if I had known that he made a song with Hatsune Miku, that would also have been crazy to me. I think it would have accelerated me into like artistry or whatever. But I'm glad that I discovered his older music now, because like it sort of affirms to me that like, okay, I think the feeling that I had when I listened to his album Worlds for the first time, it was like, up to that point I had always been like, oh man, what if my older work is like perceived in like a different way, or like what if I release something now and it's perceived differently later? Like, I want to make something timeless. I want to make something that works for the longest time. But here I am listening to this guy's first debut album, and it's still has so much amazing value. Like, it has so much amazing like artistic value. It has like real weight and meat to it, even like 10, 11, 12 years later. And from that point, I was just like, I need to keep making music. I just need to keep making music and uploading and sharing and keep going. So that's the effect that Porter Robinson has had with me. Realizing that like, you just have to make stuff. And it doesn't matter. Just make stuff. Just do it. Nike. not sponsored. I wish. Next sponsorship, please, Nike. Just do it. Panic works. Oh shit! Get my Nike collab. Yo, anybody know Nike? I want a Nike collab. Yeah. So
I think it's working. Yeah.
so actually, like chronologically, that was the first song that I made, relative to the other songs on that album. And that, I genuinely, I can't listen to that song. I can't listen to it because I feel so much towards it. Like it gets me somewhere where like for the longest time I felt like nothing that I will ever do will ever have, like, everything that I've been doing up to that point was forever going to be doomed to be some sort of like project relegated to the side, or this life of mine as an artist is something to never, it's something for me to never take seriously. Like I couldn't even take myself seriously as an artist. And writing that melody, that was also another first for me. Writing this melody that really encapsulated this really like this feeling that I don't have words for, which is conveyed through the whole track and by extension the whole album. This sort of like bittersweet, nostalgic feeling. And it was like, it just felt like when I was making that song that for the first time I could be happy writing a song however I liked it, because it's not a dance track. I'm only making dance music. I only DJ. It's not a dance track. It's not like, it's not a dance track. There's no complex synthesis. There's no sampling really. There's no advanced techniques in that song that I put in there just to make it advanced and like be good. It was something straight from the heart, and that's what my heart was singing at the time. And so like just listening to it like sonically, originally it was supposed to be the beginning of the album actually, and it wasn't supposed to be anywhere at the end. But whatever feeling that We Can Take It has is how I felt after I finished Keep Going. Like, that is the feeling that, like, despite everything, despite this bittersweet sadness within this confusing whirlpool of life that just keeps going and going and going, we can take it. Like, I want to be able to say that we can fucking take it. Like, we can take it. And that's what that is. Which also relates to a lot of my visual promotion as well. So as of right now, I'm investing a lot of time in developing Bien and also Kali Yuga. We're getting a lot of traction on both of those sides. So Panic Works himself will lie a little bit low. Still making music for, especially there will be a sequel to Tools of Panic, my original like dance tools sort of album, which I am kind of aiming towards more like the Kali Yuga side of things, where it's very DJ centric, very very easy to mix sort of music, reflecting my more ethnic traditional background as well. And of course, we have Bien, which is we'll be launching something. Stay tuned. If this interview goes up before then, if this interview goes up after that, thank you. I don't know. But for me personally, even though I say, for me, personally, even though I say Panicworks is taking a back seat to things, I don't think it ever is. I think everything that I learn through every single thing that I do will reflect in the next EP. And ultimately, Panicworks is about me. And every way you support me, every way you support me, everything that I do, every show that I play, every song that I listen to, every person I talk to, every struggle I face, everything in my life is Panicworks. And that only means more music coming, but it will come when it comes, because